Okay. Hi, and welcome to the RSL Piano and Keyboard Syllabus webinar. I'm just going to check with my colleagues. Can you see if there are anybody following at the moment?
0.
Okay, we think we've got 0 people at the moment, so we'll just give a few minutes wait and just see whether more people will be joining us today. Otherwise, we'll just record this.
Chats.
Okay, is this all today?
Yeah, it's now. It's just we didn't see. Slightly confusing because it doesn't show any viewers, but chats are there.
Do you have any idea when that was sent? No time stamp.
Hope we don't have a time zone mix-up.
Do you want to say, please confirm you're watching? Yeah, good morning, everybody. I think we now are connected. I've just seen that we've got lots and lots of people here. So please wave at us in the in the chat bar if you can and say hi. It's always good to see who is around. So, welcome to the Piano and Keyboard Syllabus webinar. We did this for the entire company here at head office some time ago, about last week. And I just wanted to talk to you about the 2 new products that we are currently about to release. So these are 2 individual syllabuses. So there's a new piano syllabus to replace the previous piano syllabus. And a new, completely new keyboard qualification as well. Regarding the piano syllabus, we intend to examine the old syllabus and the new syllabus concurrently for 12 months before phasing out the old syllabus. So those are our 2 new products, but let's get into some of the detail of those particular products. What I would say is if you have any questions, please do type them in. I'm keeping half an eye on the chat window as well, so if I can try and answer those. There is a delay though. It's about a minute from where I'm speaking right now to when you'll hear me. So if I'm ignoring your comment or your question, please bear with me. Okay, so let's move on a little bit anyway. So these are the brilliant new piano books, and you can see we've gone for really contemporary covers, really contemporary artists, and to try and give something for everybody. And you see the strapline there, classic tracks, new tracks, films and musicals. So we've tried very much to go for something which is going to appeal to an awful lot of people. The piano features a collection of specifically researched and arranged tracks. So the artists that we've got, which are in there, are people like the Beatles, so it's quite classic, Ariana Grande, Ed Sheeran, Coldplay, Queen, John Legend, The Police, David Bowie and Queen. But we've also got music from films. And we wanted to get some music from films and musicals because we felt that that was the closest we could get to crossing into the classical realm. And I think learning piano is one of those really interesting instruments. It is heaped in classical history, and what we want to be able to do is provide learners with the ability to study classical if they want to, but also to be able to seamlessly move over to study more contemporary repertoire as well. So we have got things like The Greatest Showman, The Lion King, Frozen, Wicked and E.T. And we also think that a lot of people are going to know this music all across the world. So we're really very, very keen in order to be able to share that with people. We have spent a really long time benchmarking each one of these pieces. When I go through the repertoire list later on, you'll see that there are a couple of pieces which are repeated from the previous syllabus. Although they're repeated, they are not the same. We've rearranged them and re-benchmarked them to make sure that absolutely every stage fits in with the kind of progressive mastery that we want for candidates to be able to see. So in these books, in the piano books, we've got 6 hit tunes. No Rockschool classics or Rockschool originals. They are all brand new arranged tracks. There are fact files to go with each one's, performance notes, technical exercises, and audio, as you expect. We've also written the performance notes in such a way to try and more clearly articulate how a teacher can help a student learn that piece. And we've done that in reference to other awarding bodies. So we've looked at the classical awarding bodies and looked at the type of notes and the language which they use to talk to teachers. And we've tried to go for a style within the performance notes which really helps those teachers. So it really will take students all the way through from debut to grade 8 in the same amount of rigour as a classical piano syllabus, but with much, much more accessible tunes. So let's think about some of the music as well. So we've designed the repertoire around 3 key features. The first one is that we love students being able to play to an accompaniment, but students also really, really want to be able to play the melodic element of the song. So we've arranged the pieces so that the backing tracks and feature a melodic accompaniment. So what that really means is that you're going to be playing the melody along with the backing track, but you could also equally play that as a solo piano piece and it would sound great. I'll give you an example of that in a minute. We've also arranged a number of pieces throughout the syllabus for solo piano. The piano is a brilliant instrument. You know, the pianoforte, it can play loud and can play soft. It plays a huge range of pitches. So it's one of the instruments which we know sounds great on its own. So we wanted to arrange for piano on its own. So you'll hear some brilliant solo piano pieces as well. And again, I'll give you an example in a short while. Lastly, we also wanted to give students the chance to play along with brilliant vocalists. So we've got some pieces of music which have got vocal accompaniment as well. We've got brilliant session vocalists on this as well, so the quality is really, really high. Let's take a look at those 3 different styles independently. So first of all, we talked about solo piano. Now this is Schindler's List. It was in the old syllabus, but again it's been rearranged so that it fits the grade 7 criteria much, much better. So this is Schindler's List, and let me give you a few seconds of this.
Schindler's List.
Specifically with this one, we're really, really happy that it has a classical crossover feel to it, i.e. a classical pianist could look at this piece of music and feel very, very comfortable playing this and feel as if it wasn't completely alien to them. And we've done that throughout the grades, not just at the higher grades. Fantastic piano player called Ross Stanley playing on this particular piece of music as well. So a really, really brilliant piece of piano music, which we're very, very proud of. Arranged, in this case, by Jono Harrison, as much of the arrangement has been by Jono. And Jono's very keen to come and talk and travel across the world and talk to lots and lots of people about the piano. We're very proud of the product. The other feature that we talked about was accompaniment to vocals. So we've got another piece here, Next to Me by Emily Sandé, which is at debut. So we're expecting, this is very, very early learning in terms of piano. But what I wanted to show you with this particular piece was that even though it's very early learning, it still sounds great. And the learners that you're going to be working with are going to find that they can really start to play the pieces very quickly and sound brilliant. Let's have a quick listen to this.
Next to Me.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're
So hopefully you got a flavour of that one there as well. Great question from Andy coming in. No, there's just one version for each song. So on each of the grades you'll find that there are roughly 2 solo pianos, 2 piano and accompaniments, and 2 accompaniments to vocals as well. Although that does change slightly across the syllabus. It's pretty much that amount. It's great. When we were recording the Emily Sunday track, it was really nice. There was a friend of mine called Katie Hector who's singing on that. And I had forgotten her CV and what she'd done in the past. And when I spoke to her about singing this, she came in and sang the track and sang it great. And I said, can we do some backing vocal parts, please, as well? Do you know them already, or would you like to learn them? And she said, yes, I know them very well. I wrote them. And I'd forgotten that she was, in fact, Emily Sunday's vocal coach for several years. But it's a really nice example of the type of authenticity that we've tried to put within the arrangements. So, lastly, let's move on to melody and accompaniment. So with melody and accompaniment, remember you're playing the melodic piece, which will sound great as a solo piano piece as well, but you're going to play it along with a backing track. So here's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John.
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
1, 2.
Very much playing the melody here as well, but we'll keep the track going for a little bit so you can hear that the full instrumentation kicks in. This is a grade 4. So that's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. So you can see the 3 different styles that we've got that we're really focusing on within the arrangements.
Schindler's List. Next to Me. Goodbye Yellow Brick.
We've also got scales and exercises and unseen tests. So these technical exercises we really wanted to maintain. One of the things which we hear about our syllabuses, which teachers are really, really keen on, is that we maintain that sort of academic excellence. And actually, I don't think unfortunately, there's any escaping when you're learning an instrument. You do need to learn things like scales and arpeggios and chord voicings. But we've tried to make them a little bit more accessible. So in terms of the technical exercises, one of the comments from customers was that at lower grades, they were actually a bit difficult in terms of the scales, arpeggios and tech exercises. So we've re-ranked those and really put them together. And I'll give you some examples of those in a minute. But just to stress one thing here, which I think is really important. In terms of the types of unseen tests that we've arranged for the exams, it's either sight reading or improvisation and interpretation, all the way through. So that's from debut all the way through to grade 8. So just to be really clear, there's no change at grades 6, 7 and 8. Now, the reason we've done that is that we heard from lots of classical pianists that actually the free choice pieces they felt were quite a strong barrier for them to take the qualification. So we decided that actually by putting in a slightly different Group D technical studies exercise, that we would be able to maintain sight reading and improvisation and interpretation all the way through the grades. Of course, you've got ear tests and general musicianship questions as well. So let's take some detail into those technical exercises. So first of all, we've got the scales. So an example of the scales at grade 2. What I thought I'd put in here is actually is that we've looked at where modes come in terms of the syllabus as well, and decided that that needed to be delayed until later on in the syllabus. But what we felt at early grades was it was very useful to have a look at the pentatonic scales as well. These really are the building blocks for lots of the type of melodies that the people are playing within the pieces. So we need to make sure very much that learners are able to articulate those scales as well. Notice, by the way, that we've got 2 flats for the grade 2 scales, and what we've tried to do very much here throughout the syllabus is to work on the idea that grade 2's got 2 flats or 2 sharps, grade 3's got 3 sharps or three flats, so that gradually as learners work their way through the syllabus, that they're exposed to more key signatures. Same thing with the arpeggios as well. We've just tried to make those arpeggios better articulated. Same with the chord voicings as well. We've still got augmented and diminished triads, but we add extended chords as you go up through the range. Now, one thing which is a change from the old syllabus are the Group D technical studies. So the Group D technical studies come in at grade 4, so they're 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And what they ask is for learners to have a look at a chord progression and pre-prepare some work around that chord progression. And you can see within the example from grade 7 that it's quite complicated chord progression. It's in swung time, it's got extended chords, and it's got a bass line to go with it as well. So great comment from Connor there. Yeah, all of the technical exercises have been looked at and re-ranked. We have reused some of them, but not all of them. And Group D are completely new. Thanks, Connor, for your question. Again, sight reading. So just to reiterate, unlike the previous syllabus, where you would have had the quick study pieces from grade 6, 7, and 8, in the new piano and keyboard syllabuses, we're going to have sight reading and improvisation all the way through the grades, from grades debut through to 8. And we think that that's going to really help the syllabus become more accessible to people that might previously have studied classical piano. And here we go, here's an example of higher level impro and interpretation, where you can see again we've got swung time, we've got quite a lot of sharps, and we've got extended chords throughout as well. So that's sight reading or improvisation and interpretation. The ear tests and general musicianship questions, well, the ear tests do have a slight change at debut to 3. They're about melodic and chord recognition. Grades 4 to 8, they're about melodic and harmonic recall. And the GMQs are as you'd expect. They relate to one of the performance pieces that's chosen by the candidate, but we've come up with some excellent new questions for examiners to use so that they can really find a structure to those GMQs as well. Let's have a look at these books then. So this is the first book. This is Debut. We've put Justin Bieber on the front cover, playing a beautiful Steinway. What we really wanted to do here is at debut level is to have an artist on the front cover which everybody pretty much in the world now really knows who that guy is. And especially young people who are likely to be studying at debut, someone that they could really relate to. And you can see we've got a great track list there. We've got Next to Me that we've already heard, Beauty and the Beast, the Disney piece. We've got Lean on Me by Bill Withers, a very, very popular song. Love Yourself by Justin Bieber, incredibly well known. In fact, I Googled what the most listened to piece of American music was, and it's Justin Bieber. And we've also got the beautiful piece of music from Amelie. Let's have a quick listen to that whilst we can.
La valse d'Amélie. 1, 2, 3.
So there we go, a real flavour of Amelie there as well, which I think is a great piece of music. Very, very simple to play. We've got a beautiful backing track, which just means that learners are going to really start to feel like they can play the music very, very quickly. I did notice there is, of course, a slight delay to the questions that I see. So just to address Ritesh's questions, do the pieces use the same key signatures listed for technical exercises? Typically, yes. That is pretty much grade 1 has got 1 sharp or 1 flat, and debut is typically in C or A minor, and so on, typically. And in terms of performance award, yes, you can do a performance certificate. It's just 5 pieces, as it was previously. However, we think that the technical exercises are quite an important part of our graded syllabus, and we expect to see that many people will still want to do those technical exercises as well. That's great. Thanks. Just saying thanks to Jonathan, who's teching for us today and making sure everything actually works. And judging by the fact that I'm having questions back, that means that you probably can hear me, and we are able to communicate. So thanks to Jonathan for all of that help.
La valse.
Let's have a quick also look at grade 1 then, Let It Be, to Toot Heart. So I really wanted to have some Ariana Grande in there, and she of course is the cover artist here. I just think that it's great to be able to help young people again connect with the music that we want them to play. Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Really nice arrangement of that. Again, that Lion King song. So we've got that Disney crossover as well a little bit. Let's have a quick listen to one of the pieces.
I'm Not the Only One.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Again, you can hear it's a relatively simple piano part, but we put together a really nice backing track. We've had some great musicians on this as well, so it's all live musicians. We've spent an awful lot of time just to try and make sure that all the pieces sound as good as they can. Okay. And moving on to grade 2, we've got Raw, the Katy Perry track. Feeling good. I put Ed Sheeran on the front cover here, and this was quite contentious among the team as we were making the books. Some people felt that Ed Sheeran just wasn't really associated with the piano. However, I felt that he was associated with lots and lots of people across the world. He also took an RSL qualification, so I think it's really great to have him on the cover, although I understand he is not a pianist, and we may get some comments about that. It's my fault, so please blame me if anybody makes any comments to those as well. You'll also see This Is Me, that Greatest Showman track on there as well, which I just think is a really great track from our time, as well as a classic like the Pink Panther theme tune as well. This, however, is Walk On By.
Walk On By.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You can hear the melody playing through here as well. Great pump in the fizzles. But that piece of music also works as a fantastic piece of solo piano as well. Moving into grade 3, I put Norah Jones on the front cover here as well. You'll see Skyfall, which was in the previous syllabus as well, which has just been repeated. I'll just have a quick listen to A Whole New World. So this is arranged for solo piano. And you can see that as we've started to get slightly more full arrangements, the solo piano pieces sound great. This, like all of the rest of the piano pieces, were recorded in Abbey Road, and we had a brilliant time recording these. This one's very popular amongst the people at the office. Grade 4, All of Me, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. We've got John Legend on the front cover there as well. We had one comment from Alistair, and I'm sure you all know Alistair, who really said, can we please make sure we've got some classic rock on the syllabus? So you will notice a solo piano arrangement for Living on a Prayer. And if you know that piece of music, you'll know how difficult the solo is. And we do ask that students play the solo in solo piano on this one, which is pretty incredible, actually. This is All of Me, just a quick blast of All of Me.
All of Me.
We'll try and make sure this is available as soon as possible for you to listen through to the whole track. Moving on to grade 5, one of the great things, and I was really pleased about, was that we were able to ask everybody across the globe, so all of our rep network, lots of teachers, lots of people in head office, well, what piece of music did you want to see? And lots of the music that we've put into these books actually came directly from suggestions from colleagues. Without doubt, the most selected track was 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. Really, everybody did identify that. And when we had a look at it and we benchmarked it, it really was a grade 5 piece of music as well. So 1,000 Miles got a great backing track as well. And let's have a quick listen to, I forget which piece of music coming up next. So this is a surprise to me.
Every little thing she does is magic.
Great, here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Grade 6, we've got things like Africa by Toto, Cantaloupe Island, In the End by Linkin Park, so a bit more rock music as well, but Defying Gravity, which was on the previous syllabus, but again, we've updated. The Way It Is, again, we've updated as well. He's a Pirate, by which features on Pirates of the Caribbean, is for solo piano and is a fantastic piece of music. It sounds incredibly dynamic and very, very full. There is a slightly interesting story about this, is that up until 2 days before I sent these books to the printers, I didn't actually have the license to use Cantaloupe Island, unfortunately. It was proving a real problem, and of course we wanted Herbie Hancock as the cover artist as well, which did cause us some issues as well, some slightly worried people. When I eventually got to the bottom of it, and we ended up having to talk to Herbie's publisher, and I asked what the hold-up was, and it turns out that Herbie Hancock likes to play the music before he allows it to be put into a book. So what was really nice is that what was holding us up was the fact that Herbie Hancock had to play the piece of music before we could put it into the book. Let's have a quick listen to Cantaloupe Island.
Cantaloupe Island.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We do get slightly more jazzy as we get to the top end of the piano syllabus. We're at grade 6, level 3 here, so we do expect that people are going to be more interested in those kind of advanced chords and jazz rhythms. Here we go into grade 7, so you've got more Toto, Steely Dan. We put Tori Amos on the front cover as well. We've also got we've got that Schindler's List piece that we heard earlier as well. I'll just give you 2 seconds of I Got the News, the Steely Dan track, which again is slightly more complicated music, but the mix sounds amazing to me.
I Got the News.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's a great arrangement by a guy called Gary Sanctuary here for this piece of music as well, featuring a monster solo, but you'll hear that. Then lastly, we've got grade 8. Now, grade 8 is also a very popular grade for us as well, so we wanted to put someone really iconic on the front cover. We chose, obviously, I put Freddie Mercury on there as well, incredibly well-known character, and we've got Bohemian Rhapsody, a brilliant arrangement of Bohemian Rhapsody in there as well. We've also got jazz tracks like Spain, E.T., which is the John Williams track for the end of the film E.T., is actually without question the hardest piece of music that features in the syllabus. So it's a monster. So if you are a piano player, this is the one to practice. And we've also got Rather Be, which, although if you know that track, doesn't particularly sound like it might be grade 8. When you look at the speed and the key signature, it really is a grade 8 piece.
E.T. end credits.
This is a bit of E.T. And again, a brilliant arrangement by Jono here. I think it's absolutely outstanding. It's quite a long piece of music as well. We'll have to cut this short, but let's move on. And we'll move on to our keyboard syllabus. Now here you'll see all the covers for the keyboard syllabus, and again, same approach that we've taken here. With the keyboard syllabus though, I think it's quite keen to note that there are similarities with keyboard and piano, but there are also differences. And we felt that there were that many differences within the keyboard as an instrument that we ought to acknowledge that and actually put that into its own syllabus itself. So the things that we've tried to acknowledge within the keyboard syllabus and the arrangement of keyboard music are things like the differences that you can do. For example, you can make lots of more different sounds, textures and timbres with a keyboard than you can with a piano. A piano makes a piano noise, a keyboard makes all sorts of noises. You can also change and switch those sounds throughout performances. And also things like your left hand. Now, most of the time in the a colleague describes it as you just do this dom 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 in piano, whereas actually in keyboards you're often playing melodic parts with your left hand. So it is a very different skill set. So we wanted to acknowledge two things with the keyboard syllabus. Firstly, there are differences. Secondly, there are similarities. So I'll try and outload those differences. Hi, Rocky. Thanks for your question. Regarding the solo piano pieces, yeah, we'll indicate in a list of all of the repertoire which ones are solo piano and which ones aren't. Actually, the books are going to be with you so soon that you might be able to have a look for yourself as well and actually play through the music. But yeah, we'll get that to you as well. So just regarding the keyboard syllabuses then, what I want to do just now is to take you through some of those differences and similarities between the keyboards. Okay, so by the way, we've called it keys because we thought it looked striking and interesting on the page. There is a subtitle, if you like, underneath it, which says for contemporary keyboards. So we've got, again, 6 specially arranged tracks, and we've very much gone for the same type of idea. People like Ariana Grande, Justin Timberlake, Pharrell Williams, early grades where it's very accessible, and then things like Snarky Puppy and Jamiroquai at higher grades where music becomes slightly more complicated as well. We've got classics as well like Jackson and Stevie Wonder. And again, films and musicals like Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Pirates of the Caribbean and Schindler's List also feature in the keyboard syllabus. So let me take you through some of the elements of these as well. So the arrangements, as I said, what we wanted was to make sure that we really equipped contemporary keyboard players with industry-relevant skills in any performance environment. So what we tried to do was to look at the different levels, debut to 3, 4 and 5, and 6, 7 and 8, that there would be increasingly complex use of the keyboard as an instrument itself. So at debut level, we talk about working with single patches. We might ask candidates to layer sounds, strings and piano, for example, and basic use of effects like pitch bend. But as we move into level 2, then we'd expect people to be able to switch patches in the middle of a song, add solo elements, specialist styles and layers and splits. And at level 3, we would expect multiple switching throughout. Definitely lots of advanced soloing. We've notated, by the way, all of the solos, so there's no improviser solos within this particular grade, but they are notated solos. Multiple and specialist styles. So things like a Hammond organ arrangement falls in, I think, grade 7. So we've tried to just look at the keyboard as an instrument and then look at how we can build up those specific skills. But of course, well, let's have a look at some of those examples. So here's a kind of single patch example. So this is Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake, performed by Justin Timberlake. Let's see. So you can hear it's a quite simple chordal piece. And candidates are asked to find the right piece of right sound setting to make sure they get the right synth sound. You should also note that at the end of this piece of music there's a big horn section, and Norton, your chairman, and Johnson, the CEO, are playing their trombone and trumpet on that performance as well. Really worth listening out for. I won't embarrass them now by playing it, so do have to get the music. Okay, just going to go back. And let's have a quick listen to a slightly more advanced piece of keyboard skill. So this is Owl City. I really like this piece of music. It's a great indie band, but really nice piece. Sorry for my PowerPoint failure here.
Fireflies.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So this really is about layering up the sound and splitting the sound in the right hand. I love the fact that musicians have got this really sounding like the record as well. Thanks, Rocky, for your question, by the way, about solos at levels 2 and 3. We've written the solos, but underneath the solo parts that we've written, we've put or similar, allowing students, if they want to learn the solo verbatim, or they can add their own elements into that as well. The grading criteria take that into account. Grade 6, by the way, so just moving into higher levels, I just want to give you an example of a classic track that we've put on the keyboard syllabus as well. I think if you're going to write a keyboard syllabus, you need to put lots of Stevie Wonder on there. So this is Living for the City, and it's just really about that specialist road style. So great pieces of music there as well. We really like it. Now, there is also that crossover I talked to you about with piano. So the similarities between the keyboard as an instrument and the piano as an instrument. So what we decided to do there was to look at the fact that we've got 6 pieces. We want the students who are learning keyboards to be able to play keyboards great and also to be able to play piano very well also. So we decided that we would take 3 pieces from the piano syllabus and then 3 brand new keyboard pieces to create our 6 tracks. So you'll see that there's a crossover of 3 tracks. The other crossover is we've kept the technical exercises exactly the same. So we felt that that was the type of skills that those keyboard players needed. What I think is quite interesting to note here, of course, is that gives candidates the choice to move between the keyboard and the piano syllabus throughout their study. So if they want to go from debut to grade 8 with the Rockschool syllabuses, that's great, but they can also change quite comfortably between piano and keyboard as they go through the style. So you might want to start people off on piano skills at lower levels, and then they might not have a piano. They may decide that they actually want to really work with keyboard later on, or the other way around. And we feel that by having crossover between the piano and the keyboard syllabuses, that we're able to offer the candidates that opportunity to switch and flip between those elements. So that's the crossover elements as well. Let's take a quick look at some of the books. So we've got this is Keys at debut, Beauty and the Beast next to me, Imagine. We've got some reggae in there as well. We've got some indie music too. One of our colleagues, Dan Clark, who you may have come across with, who works in business development, took this book home last week, came back raving about the fact he could immediately play Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers. And this guy's a trumpet player. He's never played keyboards in his life. Grade 1, Taylor Swift on the cover. We heard a bit of Can't Stop the Feeling earlier. This is a bit of Daniel, so it's got, this is Bat for Lashes, a very, very cool, trendy indie band as well. So we've tried to mix up some of the really accessible music with some really cool music as well.
Daniel.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's great. And a great question from Ritesh, by the way, about the instrument requirements. Well, one of the things that we do need for candidates to do is that obviously the keyboard is quite a unique instrument as well. Every keyboard has got a slightly different set of settings, a slightly different orientation. So unlike piano, we're asking that the candidates do bring in their own keyboards to be examined on. else I think we felt that it would be a bit like a disadvantage really for those candidates if they had to play with someone else's unusual keyboard. We've also arranged everything so that it could be played with a controller keyboard and a laptop, which is perfectly accessible. We will. I'll send you out the exact specifications, and in the syllabus specifications, we just take you through the ranges. But as a broad brush, the lower grades can be done on a 44-note keyboard, and when you get up into grade 8, then you do need the full 88 notes in terms of the keyboards. But that's all within the syllabus specifications as well. Grade 2, we've got Raw, Feeling Good, Nina Simone track, Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush, Radioactive Happy, This Is Me, great set of songs actually, grade 2.
Running Up That Hill.
Here's a bit of Kate Bush.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Great to have a piece of vocal in there as well. Grade 3 then, Coldplay, Heard It Through the Grapevine, A Whole New World. It's we've also got Sweet Dreams. When you'll hear Sweet Dreams is a great mix that we've got on that as well. So that's used on the videos quite a bit. Here's a bit of that. Here's a bit of Sweet Dreams.
Sweet Dreams.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Really is an iconic and classic piece of keyboard. I love the cover on this as well, by the way. I just think it looks really, really bold and bright. Here we go on grade 4 then. So we've got Walk the Moon, who did that great song Shut Up and Dance on the start there as well. We've got pieces like Ghost Town as well. Let's have a quick listen to Ghost Town.
Ghost Town.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Great chord playing on this track. So grade 5, Bruno Mars on the cover as well there with 24 Karat Magic. We've also got Man in the Mirror. We've got a great player called Mo Pleasure, who was the touring keyboard player with Michael Jackson, to play on Man in the Mirror as well. So we've got, again, real authenticity throughout the syllabus. And it's great to have Jackson's keyboard player playing on that syllabus as well. Really enjoyed that. And here's a quick
24K Magic.
Quick bit of 24 Karat
1,
Magic.
2, 3, 4.
Again, one of the biggest tracks of the recent years. So, grade 6, and you'll notice that we've got Stevie Wonder on the front as well. We had Stevie Wonder on grade 3 as well, but we thought we could get away with having Stevie twice. And we've got some great tracks on there as well. So specifically, you know, for the keyboard syllabus, Living in the City, Sledgehammer and Ain't Nobody, brilliant tracks.
Sledgehammer. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Try and get my button pressing in time there. Grade 7 then. Okay, so we've got Jimmy Smith on the front there, and again, that's just what I was talking about, these very specific arrangements when we get into things like Hammond playing and things like that. So Mustard Greens is a great track on there as well. Got Jump by Van Halen and Cosmic Girl as well. Here's a bit of Cosmic Girl. You can hear actually that we're asking people to just modulate the cutoff there. And then as we get into grade 8, then we've got pieces like Lingus, a snarky puppy track. Again, getting the license for Lingus was really difficult because the guy that wrote it was on a retreat in Morocco, so we had to wait for him to come out of the desert in order to get that, which was a pretty difficult situation actually to be in. And then we've also got things like, and as you get into the higher grades, well, how do you really challenge learners? So we've gone for some prog rock. So we've got some Emerson, Lake and Palmer there as well. Actually, that Carnival number 9 track's really interesting because the drummer that we used on that track was a guy called Pete Riley, who looked at the chart, started playing it, and then realised that he'd actually played on it already, and because he used to play for Keith Emerson's band. Yeah, thanks, Andy. Yep, there'll be a Spotify playlist on the website as well, actually. So with all the web pages, there's a Spotify playlist so that learners can play the originals if they want to before they get through. So you can, and then also you, of course, you can get to know all the pieces of music if there's any that you don't know. Thanks. So there we go. That's the piano and keyboard syllabuses. So you've had a look at the covers, you've had a look at the repertoire. You know hopefully what's inside there. A bit about the recording process. Well, we recorded them at Abbey Road and Dock Street Studios and at the Dairy. There's a picture of my feet on the console at the Dairy. I don't know what it is about recording studios. I always end up putting my feet up at the end of the day. And we had some brilliant musicians on there as well. First of all, Jono Harrison, who was one of the really driving lights on this particular syllabus as well. Pete Riley, fantastic drummer. Richard Brooke, another drummer, played with people like Take That and Sugar Babes. Andy Robertson, and he's also one of our examiners, but plays bass throughout most of the syllabus recordings actually here. Rory Harvey, who's a brilliant musician and also writes a lot for film and TV. Great producer as well, and he's done quite a lot of production work. Nat Martin, who's a brilliant guitar player. We used him for lots of the jazz tracks. Katie Hector, the vocalist that we talked about earlier, who sung with people like Lou Reed and with Emily Sandé. Tanya Eliashova, who's a fantastic piano player who recorded some of the pieces at Abbey Road for us. And of course, not forgetting Norton York and John Simpson. And here we go, here's some of those people as well that we can see throughout the syllabus recordings. So in terms of the dates that we've got, so we've got the books back now. They're in the office and ready to be shipped out to you when you need them. We launched it at the teacher conference last weekend, and we've got a first orders being received and taken out from the warehouse from the 22nd of February to give people a bit of chance to, in order to learn the pieces before we examine them. We said that we're going to examine from UK period B, which is basically May, but to talk to Connor, Henry or Helena about your individual countries, about when you want to do the first examinations from. But we feel that we ought to give learners at least 2 or 3 months just to get their head around the new pieces before we start examining it. There's a couple of other final comments really from me before I ask for any questions. It really is that in terms of what we've done here, we've tried to think about the teachers and the students across the world. So we've kept at lower grades the range of the pieces quite low, so that smaller people with smaller hands, kids primarily at debut grades 1 and 2, who might not have great big hands that can do octave reaches, can still play those pieces of music. We've really tried to address the issues around improvisation throughout the pieces as well, so that we've got something which is really, really accessible to lots and lots of learners. So that's kind of the my thoughts around that. There's just one more thing perhaps to add as well, which is that we will also be releasing for piano grades debut 1, 2, and 3 a specific version with 2 pieces of music from Southeast Asia, specifically arranged and designed for the Southeast Asian market. I'm just finishing the arrangements on those now, and I'll send them to the printers in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then it will take about a month from them going to the printers for them to be ready. But I'll update everybody with that detail later on. But we just thought that actually there are so many pianists in Southeast Asia that that they might appreciate to have some great music for them to play as well, that they know the type of pop music which is really prevalent within their countries. So we hope that's going to be really, really popular. Thanks, and a great from I think it's from Mike. I don't know your handle, I'm afraid. But can the current piano syllabus be used? Yes, they can be used as free choice pieces. Of course, it's always worth checking. Connor says, "What's the difference between piano and keys?" The only difference I can see are the pieces. Yep, I would suggest that the main difference between piano and keyboards are that the keyboard syllabus has got 3 specifically designed keyboard pieces that look at keyboard-only skills. And I think it's worth remembering that our previous piano syllabus was designed for piano and keyboards together. Here, we've just taken those and separated them out slightly so that the keyboard players can actually learn those specific keyboard skills as well. And a few more questions that are coming in. What's the perimeter for repertoire pieces or sight reading and improvisation? So, I mean, that's quite a big question, that one. It's all in the syllabus document, which we'll send out to everybody. But effectively, note range goes up as the keyboard syllabus goes up. Dynamics, there are no dynamics expected at the debut, but small amounts of dynamic movement are expected at grades 1 and 2, and that increases as you might expect. And again, with the sight reading and improvisation, effectively tempo and key change. So we can expect that as well. Also, with the sight reading pieces, tend to use the scales from about 2 syllabuses before. So if you thought that the sight reading pieces for grade 3, well, typically would only really have 1 sharp or flat. Another question here. If audio and PDFs are different, which should be followed? They aren't different. The audio and the PDF, so the audio to the notation is the same. If you find any examples that they're different, please let us know. I'll log that as a errata and get that changed for a reprint and immediately changed for a digital print. We've taken a really long time proofreading the audio and the written notation as well. A few more coming through then as well. Are the companion guides in the pipeline? Yes, very much. We've written the teacher's notes, the notes that go alongside with each piece, as to really be supportive, like a companion guide.
Okay, that's looking better. Should be back in a moment. 30 seconds or so.
Our stream status bad. That's
Good, but I think we'll
have audio.
Great, okay, many thanks. So I believe we're back now, and I'll just answer any of these final questions then. So let's just get them up on the screen. Thanks very much. Good, thanks Connor for letting us know that you can hear us again. So just going through some of those questions there as well. So Kyriakos regarding, yes, new backing tracks for all the piano and keyboard syllabus, of course with the exception of solo piano. And then also from Connor, are the playing levels about the same with classical? Yes, we've worked really hard to make sure that if you want to take grade 3 classical piano and then move to grade 4 RSL, that you can absolutely do that. And we have worked with those other grades, those other syllabuses from the classical grades, the notable ones being ABRSM and Trinity, just to benchmark and make sure that we've got those correct. I guess the differences is that within the classical grades you don't look at pentatonic scales and you don't ever really look at modes in a popular music sense. So we've put the pentatonic scales at the earlier grades and modes a bit higher up as well. In terms of when are the backing tracks available, they are, the syllabus was released on the 22nd, so you'll be able to get the digital copies and and all of the audio on the 22nd. So we should be able to get all of those elements to you. Now there'll be a slight rest here, a pause, I guess. As I say, are there any final questions? If there are, then please send them through now, or you can just give us an email back to the head office. You can email me directly. You can email through your business development coordinator. Completely up to you. We really want to support you with the launch of these syllabuses. I really hope that it's going to be very popular across the world. I would suggest that we've hit the nail on the head with the piano syllabus. We think that we've got a really amazing piano syllabus. The keyboard syllabus, we've never had a keyboard syllabus before, apart from perhaps band-based keys. So we don't really know what the reaction is going to be like to this product. So I'm really excited to hear from you all what how you think it's gone. So please do let us know. Okay. I haven't seen any more questions come in, so at this point I'll say thank you very much for participating and watching. Please let me know if there's anything else I can help you with, and bye for now.